ekadasha vida tasya vapurandam jagat yata. Okay. Thank you very much. So word-to-word translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yatha, as, Mahan, the Mahat Tattva, Aham Rupa, the false ego, Trivrit, the three modes of material nature, Panchavida, the five material elements, Swarat, the individual consciousness, Ekadasha Vida, the 11 senses, Tasya, of the living entity, Vapu, the material body, Andam, the Brahmanda, Jagat, the universe, Yata, from which or from whom. Okay, translation. From the total energy, the Mahat Tattva, I have manifested the false ego, the three modes of material nature, the five material elements, the individual consciousness, the 11 senses, and the material body. Similarly, the entire universe has come from Supreme Personality of Godhead. So purport. The Supreme Lord is described as Mahatpada, which means that the total material energy known as Mahatattva is lying at his lotus feet. The origin of the total energy of the cosmic manifestation is the Mahatattva. From the Mahatattva, all other 24 divisions have sprung, namely the 11 senses, including the mind, the 5 sense objects, the 5 material elements, and then consciousness, intelligence, and false ego. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the Mahat Tattva, and therefore, in one sense, because everything is an emanation from the Supreme Lord, there is no difference between the Lord and the cosmic manifestation. But at the same time, the cosmic manifestation is different from the Lord. The word Swarat is very significant here. Swarat means independent. The Supreme Lord is independent and the individual soul is also independent. Although there is no comparison between the two qualities of independence, the living entity is minutely independent and Supreme Lord is fully independent. As the individual soul has a material body made of 5 elements and the senses, the Supreme Independent Lord similarly has the gigantic body of the universe. The individual body is temporary. Similarly, the entire universe, which is considered to be the body of the Supreme Lord, is also temporary. And both the individual and universal bodies are product of the Mahat Tattva. One has to understand the differences with intelligence. Everyone knows that his material body has developed from a spiritual spark, and similarly, the universal body has developed from the supreme spark, supersoul. As the individual body develops from the individual soul, the gigantic body of the universe develops from the supreme soul. Just as the individual soul has consciousness, the supreme soul is also conscious. But although there is a similarity between the consciousness of the supreme soul and the consciousness of the individual soul's consciousness is limited, whereas the consciousness of the supreme soul is unlimited. This is described in Bhagavad Gita 13.3. Kshetragyam chapi mambidi. The super soul is present in every field of activity, just as individual soul is present in the individual body. But both of them are conscious. The difference is that the individual soul is conscious of the individual body only, whereas the supreme soul is conscious of the total number of individual body. Hare Krishna. So this is such a wonderful sloka which is coming out from the mouth of Kapil Dev to his mother Devahuti. So Devahuti is very fortunate to have a son like Kapil Dev. But in modern days, when the son becomes like Kapil Dev, devotee, the parents don't like it. All they want is, you have to earn lots of money, you have to serve me till the death, and all these kind of things, right? So the time had changed. But there was a time when Kapil Dev wanted to leave the house like his father, Kardama Muni. Then the mother said, okay, you're the only hope for me till my old days, but if you don't enlighten me, if you don't help me understand the creation, understand the reality, and you just leave, I'll have to suffer. So before you leave, can you please enlighten me, like your father, like you? Right? And they also knew that like Kapil Dev is the incarnation of the God. So she was hoping that she's going to get like all the good things from her son. So when they started like talking, basically the question from Devahuti was, how did I come to this world? What is this world? What is this nature? What are the things which I'm seeing all around based on? These types of questions were asked by Devahuti. That's why Kapil Dev, he started like explaining about Sankhya Yoga. So Sankhya Yoga is a part of Jnana Yoga, which describes mostly about the creation and annihilation. Right? So these are the slokas which are coming these days. Every day we are like reading, and then these slokas are all the slokas explaining about creation and then annihilation. So in Śrimad Bhāgavatam, Sankhya Yoga is explained in many places, from the different angle. But I found the best explanation is in Canto 11. So when you read Canto 11, Lord Krishna, he talks with Uddhava. It's also called Uddhav Gita. So Lord Krishna is explaining to Uddhava all this Sankhya Yoga. So there I find it like more well explained and to the point. Whereas in the early chapters in Canto 3 and other places, they are like kind of little confusing. So Canto 11 is my favorite canto. Many devotees say Canto 10, but for me till now, I don't have that much taste in reading Lord Krishna's pastimes. But Canto 11 was like fantastic for me. Why? Because I could relate everything what is explained there. I mean, things are happening in my life, and then all these like explanations why it's happening, mind and intelligence, right? Like we come to devotional service. It's been almost 20 years now I'm into Krishna consciousness, and still there are so many attractions back to the material life. When I see expensive cars, I go like, wow, Still these are happening, even though we know that it's just a box of metal and some other stuffs, and which is temporary. Because you buy anything in this world, you get anything, whatever you desire in this world, it's momentary. We know that, but still we are doing it. So one time, I think that was 2012 or 2014, after the ILS in Mayapur, I took a class with seminar from Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj. And it was about how do we go from Anartha Nibriti to the Nishtha. Right? These are like 9 stages of bhakti. So how do we go? So it was very fantastic class. So I came back and then I told His Grace Patri Prabhu, so Prabhuji, I mean, Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj is giving such a wonderful class and he was talking about Anartha Nibriti and this. And he said, yeah, I know. It's coming from the book called Madhurya Kadambini. So I said, wow. Can I read that book, Prabhuji? Do you have? He said, yeah, I have, but I've got it in a different place. So I said, do we find it online? He said, yeah, you can find it online. So I went online, there were like 3-4 translations, and I want to make sure that it's the translation which I'm going to read belongs to ISKCON. So I checked and then found that. Then Patri Prabhu said, well, why do you want to read that book? You can do that later on. I said, no, Prabhuji, I'm so inquisitive. I want to know and all these kind of things. And I've heard about 9 stages of life. So he warned me, but then still I insisted. So I got it downloaded. It was not a big book. It was like few pages only, almost like less than 100 pages. So I decided, okay, today it's evening. Let me read it tomorrow. And then I'll finish it up in one day. So I just locked the door at my office back in the temple and then started reading. So the first shower was wonderful, where Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur would explain about what is bhakti, the origin of bhakti and all. Second shower, it starts from Shraddha, Sadhusang, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nibriti. Till that I was okay, I was enjoying. But then when I started reading about Nishtha, then Ruchi, I slowly start feeling, oh my God, it seems like it's not possible in this life. Right? And then when I started reading about Asakti, Bhav, and Prem, I completely became hopeless. Not only that, I got frustrated, thinking that, oh my God, it's so difficult. I thought like putting tilak, wearing dhoti, and quitting few things, I'm already Krishna conscious. Wow, fantastic, I'm a devotee. Right? And then everyone says, hey, you are a devotee. Ah, I'm already devotee. Right? Prabhupada is also devotee, and I'm also devotee. Hey, sounds similar, huh? So I was already thinking like that. But then when I was reading that book in details, I was like kind of shocked, knowing that going back to God, it is not an easy stuff. Right? So then I was feeling like hot, I got like feverish, and I took thermometer and then put it in my mouth and then saw that it's 102 degree Fahrenheit. I mean, I had a fever. So there were like few devotees knocking my door, and then I opened and they said, hey Prabhu, you look dark. What happened? I said, yeah, life is useless, I think I cannot go ahead, and I have no choice to go back also to the material life. And then, so what happened? Then I said, oh, you really want to know? Okay, I can explain. When I explained, they also felt the same thing, very depressed. So there were like 2 things going inside my mind at that time. One, hopeless. Oh, no Krishna, no Srila Prabhupada, I cannot do it. And then the second thought was, oh, I have to be more serious in life to go ahead. But then, of course, like I was too depressed, because that was already almost 10, 12 years in Krishna consciousness. And I was already thinking that I'm in the level of Nishtha, because I quit everything. I quit my job. I'm not much interested in my family and all these kind of things, right? So I started like meditating on how things supposed to go ahead. And then in the purport of Madhurya Kadambini, you must have read, Bhakti Vinod Thakur enlightens us. He talks about Anisthita Bhakti. Now in Anisthita Bhakti, he is talking about what are the things, what are the symptoms which is coming in us, which is showing the sign that we are not so serious in bhakti. So he starts from Utsamayi, right? If you remember, Utsamayi. So this is the first thing what happens to us as we see that Krishna consciousness is such a wonderful thing. We are fed up of this like material world. All these activities, everything we get in this material world is like useless. We find that we are suffering. People whom we go close to, we develop relationship, they deceive us, all these kind of things. So then when we find Krishna consciousness as an alternative, it's the solution, we become so excited. Wow, this is such a wonderful thing, let me follow. And then as we see their like lordship, and then Srila Prabhupada, and all this prasadam, temple, good-hearted people, devotees, we become so excited, right? And then after a while, staying in ISKCON, we started seeing bad points also, right? After then it becomes normal, and then we start like seeing negative things. Then we start feeling this, coming to ISKCON is the same thing, like in outside world. We stop like seeing the Krishna consciousness part of everything. Right? So we go like, Utsamayi means like, we go like, wow, then again come down, it's the same thing, it's boring. Right? Then the second thing is Ganatarala, dense and less dense. Right? Ganatarala. So at times we feel like, Krishna consciousness is everything. I would like to come to Mangalarti every day, every morning for let's say 2 months. And after again 2 months, let's be practical, man. If I wake up every day and I'll become sick, then again you don't come for Mangalarti, right? So it's like Ganatarala. Sometimes you feel like I should chant 64 rounds every day. And then after a while you get busy and then you say, Srila Prabhupada is right, 16 rounds is good. So it goes like up and down, up and down. Then the third thing it talks about is Vyuda Vikalpa. You become indecisive. Reading all these like scriptures, we realize, yes, life is useless. Everything is temporary. Nothing works. Even if it works, it's for a while, and nothing works. All right, so we start like, finding out, wow, cool. Right? But then we think, let me dedicate my life to Krishna. Let me become brahmachari. And then again, the other entity inside us, most probably the mind, would say, really? You're gonna wear that orange cloth? Forever? No? Look out, there are so many beautiful women outside, What about them? Right? So again, you become indecisive. Sometimes you feel like, I should serve full-time in temple. And sometimes you think like, no, what about my family? What about money? What about my few desires? So you become indecisive, even though knowing after so much into Krishna consciousness, right? Then comes the stage which is called Niyamakshama. So you take sankalpa, wow, I will do so much for Krishna, I will do so much for Srila Prabhupada, and then you cannot do it, and then you feel like, okay, anyway, who has done it? It's so difficult anyway, no problem. So it means you take promise, you make a promise, and you break it, and you forgive yourself. Right? So this is the stage. And then the fifth stage, which is actually I wanted to speak about, is called Vishaya Shangara. So Vishaya Shangara is the stage where we are struggling with the sense enjoyment. Right? So everything in this world, everything in this life which we are living, everything is based on sense enjoyment. Right? We have 5 senses, and through that 5 senses, we relate everything to this world, and then we start living life accordingly, right? Then he talks about Vishaya Shangara, means many times we know so many things are wrong. We're not supposed to do all these things, right? But because we are habituated from previous life, most probably, or the life which we lived before coming to Krishna consciousness, we are habituated, we cannot stop enjoying our senses. right? So that's called Vishaya Shangara, knowing everything that this is bad, and we're still continuing, we're still enjoying, right? Or something we should do. Oh, I must do this. This is good for me, but I don't like it, right? So you don't want to do it anymore. That's called Vishaya Shangara, and this is very obvious. Now, many times I've heard like devotees telling me, Prabhu, you are a devotee, how can you do like that? Then my answer would be, Prabhu, I'm a devotee, that's why I'm doing this much. If I was not, I would have been worse. Right? So means like, coming into bhakti and still being attached to so many things, it's very natural. No, it's just that devotees around me, whether they can tolerate me or not. That's the only thing. But then everyone, I've heard from like every devotee, no matter from ABC to GBC or normal neophyte devotee to sannyasi, everyone's struggling, to their own levels. Everything, like mostly Vishaya Sangara. And then the last one, Taranga Rangini. This is the most dangerous, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said. So we come to Krishna consciousness, we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we serve Krishna, right? So we are doing so many spiritual activities related to Krishna, and they are very powerful. Like scriptures, they say that when we chant one time Hare Krishna, it's equivalent to, donating millions of cows or doing many Ashwamedh Yagyas, right? These are said. So we are chanting Hare Krishna every day, 1,728 times every day, 16 rounds, So we are doing so much of punya. So that punya, because of that punya, we get like so much of material facilities. Our life becomes upgraded. We get like so many things for free. And when we accept those like facilities, material facilities, comforts, material things, in exchange of bhakti, it's so dangerous. So there are two ways you can destroy your bhakti. One is Vaishnava Aparad, right? The other one is Taranga Rangini. So whatever piety, whatever good deeds, the result of good deeds we are having, we are supposed to use it back to Krishna for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. But then we are like using that piety to enjoy our life. For example, I was temple president for 10 years. Then I realized, like being a temple president, I've got so much of facility. As soon as I point my finger this direction, there are like group of devotees going to that direction and fulfilling my desire. No, I get the facility of vehicle, facility of money, facility of traveling, facility of so many things. I can even change the course of like devotees' life, personal life. That so much so that they surrender so much to me. Then I thought like, wow, this is so powerful. And at the same time, it's so dangerous also. Right? I start like, if I feel that, wow, I'm responsible. I'm the one who's deciding and things are happening, right? Getting the taste of my false ego, it's so dangerous, isn't it? So then there are like high chances that we end up doing Taranga Rangini, means enjoying the facilities which is coming from the bhakti, sukriti, right? So we are supposed to use it back to Krishna, back to Srila Prabhupada, but we don't do it. Right? So after understanding so much into Krishna consciousness, it becomes like very easy. That's why Kapil Dev is also trying to make Devahuti understand what life exactly is. Right? So in this sloka, he's defining about what the creation looks like. Right? So creation, Lord Krishna in Canto 11, he says there are many sages who would say there are 25 elements. Some even goes up to 26 elements. And some comes down to 22 elements and 23 elements. But then Lord Krishna says, I prefer to say 24 elements. Right? So in 24 elements, in this sloka it is explained that the first thing is the false ego, right, which is coming basically from Atma. Then below false ego is the intelligence. Below intelligence is the mind. Now, if we read Canto 11, I was like fascinated knowing how exactly thing works, right? So Prabhupada is like referring to chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, which really talks about Kshatragya, means the field, this material world, and who manipulates the material world. He's talking about, and he said in chapter 13, Krishna talks about two people, two types of living entity which are like manipulating this material world. The first is the super soul, right? The God himself in the form of localized form. And the second is the Atma, the individuals. We have full rights to exploit this material world. So in one sense, this material world is a dead thing, dead matter. It doesn't have life. So for this material world to function or move or change or evolve, it needs living entities. But if you see, both the living entities are foreign to this material world. That's why the material world, the energy of the Lord, it's called Bahiranga Shakti, means external energy of the Lord. It's the energy of the Lord, but which is separated from the Lord, right? So it's separated, means this place, this material world, neither the Lord wants to live here forever, nor the living entity, right? So in Hindi language, it's called musafir. There are like lots of bhajan which calls like musafir e yaro, na ghar hai, na thikana, this kind of like bhajans. Means musafir means tourist, visitor. So actually, all of us, all the living entities, no matter it's like Lord or the individual, we are all tourists to this world, right? Now this world, like for example, Prabhupada talks about in Life Comes From Life and all, you can read, as soon as you take out the soul from this body is a dead matter. And what is the example? Immediate example, don't do it. But if you cut your finger, right? And just for a while it will move, and then after a minute, it's a dead thing. You can put it and frame it and then put it on the wall, and then it's a dead matter. Means as long as it's connected to Atma, we are living. Right? Now, where does the Atma start? Coming and make its journey in this material world. The first thing, Atma has to become polluted, because the original state of Atma has nothing to do with this world. Why? Because Atma the soul is made up of three elements: Sat, Chid, Ananda. Now what are these Satchidananda? These are the three spiritual energy of the Lord. Ladini Shakti, Sambit Shakti, and Sandhini Shakti. Right? So, Ladini Shakti is the Ananda potency. Sambit Shakti is the Chid potency. And Sandhini Shakti is the Shattva, Shuddha Shattva Shakti, which is the Shashwat, means eternality. So, for us to stand or sit, we need a platform. Right? There's a floor here. For this book to stand somewhere, it needs the table, the platform. So in the same way, in spiritual world, this Sandhini Shakti works as the platform. And the two other energies, Ladini and Sambit energy, they play around on top of this. That's why if we want to experience spiritual energy, the Lord, we have to come at least to the level of Suddha Sattva. That's the platform for bhakti. So that's why there is a sloka in Bhagavad Gita, a very powerful sloka, which says, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, na shochati na kankshati, sama sarveshu bhutesu mad bhaktim labate param. Right? So to really start bhakti, we have to come to the level of Atma, the self-realization stage. Now, how many of us we are self-realized? Means we know that we are not this body, but Atma. So for me, frankly speaking, I have not realized I'm Atma. I remember once I was giving 7 days course, and there were like young people sitting in the class, students, and one of them, I was talking about Atma, we are not this body, we are Atma, and then I was giving class, right? And then this boy would raise the hand and say, "Excuse me, sir, excuse me, Guruji, have you seen your Atma? Are you realized?" Now I knew that if I say no, that boy is not going to come from next day, you know. And if I say yes, then I'm lying to him. Then I had to say, well, what to talk about Atma? I've seen so many things, you know. So I didn't give the right answer, direct answer. But then yes, unless and until we become self-realized, now our bhakti actually has not started. So whatever bhakti we are doing at this moment, it's a Mishra bhakti, means coming from the level of mind. Whereas the bhakti has to be started, bhakti is practiced at the level of Atma, the soul. Now the wonderful thing about bhakti is whenever we are practicing bhakti, the self-realization becomes natural. It's a gradual process. So at this moment, you know, we cannot think of loving Krishna. Right? At this moment, in the beginning stage, all we can think about is how to become pure, how to purify myself. So many times we mistaken ourselves that Prabhupada gave us like 4 rules, right? Regulative principles. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, and no illicit sex. Right? These rules, these are not bhakti, but these rules are supportive to bhakti. Right? We're supposed to reduce. As soon as we follow these 4 rules, you know, we stop making sin. And when we become sinless, it's very conducive. The situation becomes very conducive to practice bhakti. So we can understand that even to follow these 4 regulative principles, it's so difficult for us. Many times we tend to like break it, not follow it. Right? What to talk about bhakti? Right? So coming back to what I'm trying to say is false ego means when the Atma is covered by the 3 modes of material nature, Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun, we start making so many nonsense decisions based on Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. So I understood Sattvagun as immense amount of light, immense amount of knowledge, let's say something like 90%. This is my speculation. And Suddha Sattva is 100%, right? 100% knowledge, light, and whatever, good things, spiritual things. Then Rajagun is somewhere like 10%, 10-15%, which is just enough for us to see things, right? And then Tamagun is 0% of Shuddha Sattva. Means there is no light, no knowledge, or nothing of Sattvagun. So as long as the Atma is covered by this 90% or 10% or 0%, we cannot understand or realize the 100% Suddha Sattva, right? So even we see Radha Krishna, we see them as our wish fulfiller. Hey Krishna, I want one motorbike. Most probably Harley Davidson, you know. You know, we have so many desires. Sometimes, we are hungry, we want more prasadam. Even slightest things, till some major things in our life we are desiring. And we want Krishna to fulfill it. That's because of the false ego. Right? And then this false ego, again, mix with Sattvagun, Rajagun and Tamagun. It's very technical information, but these are very useful if you understand. Right? Prabhupada would always say, religion without philosophy is sentiment. So I've found, like many times, when we don't understand philosophy, then it's very dangerous that we may not understand the bhakti. And especially in our life, when we have difficult moments, unpleasant moments, then these philosophies are the thing which saves us. But if we don't understand the philosophy, it becomes very difficult. We become emotional, sentimental, right? So the false ego, when it mixed with Sattvagun, makes the mind. The false ego, when it is mixed with Rajagun, makes the intelligence and the senses. And false ego mixed with Tamagun makes the sense object, or attraction. So every living entity is designed to be attracted to the certain object or certain person. As soon as we become the man, it's very natural for us to be attracted to a woman. Right? As soon as we have stomach, we are hungry, it's very natural for us to be attracted to food. Right? And then if you see the food, for every living entity is different. For tiger, it's meat. Right? For goat, it's grass. Like that, everything is pre-designed. Right? Then comes the five senses. Right? So five senses are also supposed to be Rajaguni. No? Rajagun means activity, action, ambition. Right? So the senses always supposed to be active. If we are not active, if we are like governed by the ignorance, then we become, sleepy. We become uninterested. We don't want to do anything. We become lazy. So the senses naturally has to be active. And the next thing which has to be active is the intelligence. The intelligence always supposed to work. So intelligence is the analytical power. The power to decide what is right, what is wrong. It has to be active all the time. So that means we have to question ourselves all the time. This is right or wrong? Right or wrong? Whatever I'm doing, is it right or wrong? I'm sitting in the class and listening, is it right or wrong? Right? This is the intelligence. Then intelligence is supposed to be awakened, active, or else we sleep in the class. The entity which is listening to what I'm speaking, the spiritual information is the intelligence. The mind doesn't like it. Mind is not going to listen to all these lectures, all this. Mind doesn't read like Śrimad Bhāgavatam from Srila Prabhupada. It's the intelligence. So intelligence is supposed to be active. And mind supposed to be in Saptagun, peaceful, knowledge. But then the first thing happens. What is that first thing? As soon as we have false ego, we come to this world, the first thing happens to us is the intelligence which is in Rajagun, right, in passion, first it goes to Tamagun. That's why it's termed Tamasa Buddhi in Sanskrit. So Tamasa Buddhi means the intelligence becomes Tamaguni. Means intelligence starts sleeping. Now it's not working anymore. You don't have the capacity to decide whether it's right or wrong. Right? It's sleeping. As soon as the intelligence goes to sleep, the next thing happens is the mind leaves from Sattvagun and comes to the Rajagun. As soon as mind becomes Rajaguni, it becomes Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadridam. That's how the mind becomes active, restless, obstinate, whatever. Right? Very strong. So the whole point of trying to become pure is to bring back the intelligence which is sleeping in Tamagun back to the Rajagun. That's all we have to do. And by reading all the scriptures, by hearing Krishna consciousness, by chanting in the beginning stage, we are bringing back the intelligence to the Rajagun, trying to make the intelligence work. Now, as soon as the intelligence works, the mind comes to his position, original position, which is Sattvagun. So when the mind becomes Sattaguni, Prabhupada says, the mind starts chanting Hare Krishna. But till now, the mind doesn't chant Hare Krishna. Mind wanders. As soon as you start chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna, oh, the lights are off. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare, this is there, this is that. Now, once I remember, one of the devotees told me, hey, if you want to focus while chanting, you have to see the picture of the Lord. You have to meditate on the picture of the Lord. Well, Prabhupada never told that. Prabhupada said, just speak and hear whatever you are speaking. So I thought, whatever Prabhupada said didn't work, so let me try what this devotee is telling. So I put the picture in the front, Krishna's picture. So I started chanting. So in the beginning it helped me, Wow, Krishna is so beautiful. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Krishna has like a flute on his hand. Krishna has this, Krishna has peacock feather. And wow, Krishna is wearing dhoti. Pitambar dhoti, yellow dhoti. Oh, I had a dhoti upstairs, I have to dry it. Maybe it will get wet. I have to bring it like down, before I leave, and then put it in the cupboard, and then this, then I will go there. I stopped seeing the deity, the picture of the deity. Now I started like meditating on so many other things. In fact, in 2 hours, the whole movie came apart, Right? So it didn't work. So why? Because the mind is restless. Mind is not in Sattvagun. Mind was in Rajagun. Right? So the whole thing. So in the beginning of bhakti, we are supposed to become really super intelligent. Super intelligent. Right? We have to make our intelligence work like anything. Then the mind becomes subdued. That is the first thing. Even before we say that we love Krishna. Right? Then, in that state of mind being in Sattvagun, intelligence being in Rajagun, our senses becoming in Rajagun, and our sense object being in Tamagun, sense subject supposed to sleep, means my attraction towards anything which I am designed for supposed to be inactive. Okay? So, me being a man, when there is a woman, my mind says, beautiful woman. Right? Then, if my sense object is in Tamagun, okay, so what? This is not the subject of my enjoyment. This is not made for me. Or food, especially on Ekadashis, we see Anna, grains and all. Today is Ekadashi, I'm not supposed to eat. It's not for my enjoyment today. Right? So means the sense object must be sleeping. Right? Intelligence must be fully awake and mind must be very peaceful, meditating. That is the stage which is very conducive for bhakti, or else it's very difficult. Of course, we can do bhakti from the stage of Tamagun also. We can do bhakti from the stage of Rajagun also. But the easiest is the bhakti which is done from the Sattvagun. Right? So this is what we read in Canto 11 explained by Lord Krishna. Right? Then there are like 5 senses, then 5 karmendriya and gyanendriya. 5 acting senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses. Right? These are like not so important, as important for us to understand mind, intelligence and false ego. Because once we have this intelligence on place, everything, all the senses, everything comes in place. Right? And then the 11 senses and material body. Right? Pancha Mahabhut. This earth, water, fire, air, ether. Right? So once we have this intelligence in proper place, we know how to manipulate these 5 elements, Pancha Mahabhut, back in the service of Lord Krishna, or as the desire of my Guru, something like that. Right? So, and again at the same time, Lord Vishnu, he is the one who is facilitating us to utilize all these like 24 elements back in the service of Krishna. So it is in some scripture, it is also said that when we come to this world, first we become Brahma. We are so pure, yet that we become Brahma, and then eventually we start like degrading, being the victim of this like 3 modes. Right? Even our Brahma, when he came, he started like creating so many living entities with his mental power. Right? And then one of them was Vak. Vak is the daughter of Brahma. So when he created Vak, Brahmaji became like so attracted. Wow, so beautiful. Right? And then even that much of impurity coming in Brahma, he felt so bad. And then it was like Satya Yuga, of course, like the beginning, very powerful. The 4 Kumars, they immediately understood the desire of the father. Hey, you stupid father, you want to enjoy your daughter? What kind of mentality is this? So feeling that, seeing that, Brahma didn't want it to live. He committed suicide. He couldn't take it. Such a ugly, dirty mentality, right? Then Lord Krishna, he appeared and he said, no, Brahmaji, I need you. Somebody has to create. But if you want to enjoy this world, okay, let me give you a little bit of Rajagun so that you can enjoy this. But don't leave your service. So the Brahma is resent back, He's sent back again. So the Brahmaji we have also had the trouble. So in the same way, whenever we became Brahma in the beginning, we also started gradually degrading to this material world. The only way to go back to Godhead, to upgrade ourselves from this degraded stage, is Krishna consciousness. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came to this world and saw the stage of Kali Yuga living entities. Very depressing. It's called like Manda Sumanda Mate Manda Vagya. Means like, the living entity in this material world is like stupid. They don't have enough knowledge. We are not long-lived. And we don't have fortune to become Krishna conscious. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he gave us like the holy name. The easiest process, just chant and I will provide you everything. Right? But then again, we don't believe that. Now you people in America, you are like more fortunate than us, we back in India and Nepal. We are from Nepal. So in Nepal, we have 82% Hindu population. So these scriptures, shastras, we know, we have heard from our childhood. The name of the Lord Krishna would be one of the first names we hear in our childhood. It's not a big thing. But then the problem is, we don't become devotee. Why? Because most of the teachings which are popular back in our countries is karma kanda, varnashram dharma. We are so busy doing karma kanda and varnashram dharma, which are good for purification, but very slow process. Right? Now, the people who are living in the foreign land, like in America, you're fortunate because as soon as you read Prabhupada books, all you know is bhakti. No karma kanda. Right? No karma kanda. You don't have to get out of that khichdi, that mixture of concepts of karma kanda and not even pancharatrika vidhi. Prabhupada directly gave Bhagavad vidhi. Direct love of Krishna. But then he realized, well, people are not ready for that. That's why he introduced Pancharatrika Vidhi. At least, okay, the process which has not only love of God, but the process of rules and regulations. Few rules and regulations. But then I feel very sad that these days in ISKCON also, there is very high influence, most probably coming from India and Nepal, of Karma Kanda in ISKCON. Now this is very dangerous actually. Well, Karma Kanda and this other process, Jnana, Karma, other processes, they also work, they also function, they also help us go back to Godhead. But they are lengthy process, they are slow process. What Srila Prabhupada introduced, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us, is the Bhagavad Vidhi, which is very, very powerful, very, very sublime and easy to practice. So bhakti is very simple. Prabhupada always said that bhakti is very simple. So simple that you can miss it. All right? So coming to Krishna consciousness, I'll tell you my experience. Like for example, chanting of holy name. So we do that every morning. We'll put our hand in the pocket and we start like chanting. It's so simple. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It's so simple. And when we do it every day, it becomes normal. Okay, again chanting. Okay, like brushing teeth. Okay, brushing teeth again. But sometimes in the festival time, we have yagyas, Narsingha yagyas. And we make it like very beautiful, elaborate. Oh, swaha, swaha. And you know what? Every time I do yajna, I feel like, wow, I'm purified. It's so nice. Prabhu, today we did yajna, we must be pure today. But then we fail to realize after chanting every day, I'm becoming purer, faster. I don't feel the same thing when I finish my 16 rounds as I feel when I do yajna. Right? So this is the result of the impression of karma kanda, which many of you don't have any idea of. So bhakti is very exclusive, right? So reading all this like Śrimad Bhāgavatam, these places, these sections, they don't talk about bhakti directly. But it's our fortune that we are reading Prabhupada's purport. Wherever possible, he is inducing bhakti. So I was like thinking, what does exactly Bhagavad Gita as it is means? Because I found Prabhupada would translate wrongly. If you read like Prabhupada's translation, word-to-word translation, there are few words, he uses, and in the translation it's completely different. And purport, completely he talks about something else. So how is it as it is? As it is means it has to be the same, right? Then I realize Prabhupada as it is not word-to-word translation, as it is. Prabhupada's as it is whatever Krishna wants us to know in an essence. So Krishna wants us to go back to Him, back to Godhead. That's what Prabhupada is telling everywhere. I gave Bhagavad Gita to my friend, and after a year he came and said, it's a nice book. So what did you understand? I asked him. He says, well, Prabhupada is repeating the same thing again and again. Bhakti and chant Hare Krishna. That's all I understood. I said, you read it very nicely. That's all. So that's why Prabhupada is so confident. Even if one reads one word, one sloka, he will become devotee. Why not? Because Prabhupada induced bhakti in each and every sloka. That's how he fooled us. Fooled us to do bhakti. We're fortunate that he fooled us. He didn't give as it is. Now, if you want to understand what I'm saying, you go and read the books translated or purport given by our acharyas, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. You read their books, we'll understand nothing. Wherever the scripture talks about karma yoga, our acharyas talks about karma yoga. Wherever it talks about jnana yoga, our acharya would explain very nicely what jnana yoga is. But if you read Prabhupada books, Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, karma yoga, Prabhupada is talking about karma mishra bhakti. Right? Karma yoga is very simple. Do the action and just give up the result. That's karma yoga. Nothing to do with Krishna. But most of the ISKCON devotee, if I ask them what is karma yoga, they will say, do the action and give the result to Krishna. That's already bhakti. That's how Prabhupada fooled us, to do bhakti. It's such a wonderful thing. That's why reading this like Śrimad Bhāgavatam of Srila Prabhupada is very exclusive, very different from reading the actual version of Śrimad Bhāgavatam. Right? And then the fool like us, the stupid people, Kali Yuga Prani, Kali Yuga living entity like us, it's Srila Prabhupada, a person like Srila Prabhupada, who can save us just by giving directly what bhakti is. So we need to practice bhakti and then go back to Godhead. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So you have any question? Yes, Raj. Yep. Yeah, I can hear.
Extremely powerful class, interesting class, and you're kind of describing how you're describing bhakti as a process of lifting our intelligence to a state of raja, rather a state of tama, and how we can first elevate ourselves to Sri Sattva before we can understand what real bhakti is. So I was kind of wondering if you could explain further, because you mentioned how, what kind of bhakti do you think you're doing? Is it actually bhakti, or is it just a mental platform?
What kind of bhakti?
You're saying, person becomes just situated in this mode of Shuddha and then they go into the stage of bhakti? Or is that because what we're actually doing is Bhagavad Gita? I mean, for example, if we're going out on the street and chanting, 6 hours a day, and you're absorbed in reading Srila Prabhupada's books, so you are doing the Bhagavad Gita, it's very powerful. Is it more that you're going up and down, depending on your absorption? Sometimes you're getting kind of above the mental level when you're doing the activities of Krishna consciousness, and then sometimes it's going back and falling down again into a more conditioned state. But then, gradually you'll come to a point where you're fixed at that level. Or is it at a point where you're, at one point you just suddenly transcend, That's kind of what I want to clarify.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful question. Now, even if you see in this canto, we're talking about Kardama Muni leaving home, right? So if you see, Kardama Muni goes for Paramatma realization. Here, Prabhupada, of course, Prabhupada would say that it's Krishna, but then if you read like the actual version, Kardama Muni is going for self-realization through Paramatma realization, right? So it's a step. Actually we're supposed to go step by step. In human form, there are like 400,000 species based on the level of consciousness. So our consciousness is supposed to rise 400,000 times. And then when we become like to the top level, then we become divine, godly. Right? So that's the stage. And the maximum we can become is 78% of Samambonam. Like Krishna, Lord Krishna is 100%, so Brahma is 78%. That's the highest of a living entity, the marginal energy. Right? That's where it's supposed to go. But coming back to the 9 stages of bhakti, we become very clear in bhakti, fixed only in the level of ashakti. Right? That's the 7th stage. Now in 7th stage, that is the first time we will see Krishna in real. Now we are seeing in the form of deity, in the form of picture. Right? And then we are like doing lots of imaginations using our mind. But then from the level of ashakti, we start using our soul, connecting with Krishna. So the feelings, the bhava, right? We have 3 bhakti, sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti and prema bhakti. So bhava bhakti is the bhakti which is coming from the soul, the feeling of the soul. But these days, unless and until we are reaching that stage, the feeling which is coming from the mind. That's why I have a devotee whom I like, and I have a devotee whom I don't like. Now if you see the concept of devotee association, how is it possible that I don't like any devotee? That person, that devotee is serving Srila Prabhupada, serving Krishna. How is it possible that I don't like that devotee? Right? But then, since it's coming from the mind, no, mind says, oh, that devotee benefits me. Fantastic, I love that devotee. And that devotee doesn't help me at all, for whatever. I don't like that devotee. So it's coming from the mind, the feeling coming from the mind and feeling coming from the soul, completely different. Right? So unless and until the feeling which is coming from the soul is not there, then we are not in the bhava level. We cannot practice bhava level. That's why we are given sadhana bhakti. The bhakti which is related with processes, rules and regulations. 64 angas, 64 rules and regulations, do's and don'ts. Right? So that's the beginning. So, and Rupa Goswami also says that, this is safe. When we follow rules and regulations, it's safe. Why? Because it always controls, tells our false ego, this is where you are wrong. So in Bhava Bhakti, it's very difficult to understand whether it's real or it's fake. That's why there is high chances, even if we practice Bhava Bhakti immediately, directly, which is possible, but then there is high chances we become Sahajya, means fake devotee. Like wrong practices we're doing, wrong feelings. So it's the level of ashakti which tells you exactly that you are in bhakti. So below ashakti, right, we have 2 stages. One is called Nisthita Bhakti and another is Anisthita Bhakti. This is how Bhakti Vinod Thakur explains. So Nisthita Bhakti means you're fixed. You're fixed. But still, because of your karma, because of your prarabdha, means like because of your previous habits, you are having difficulty, understanding Krishna to the fullest. That's Nisthita Bhakti. But Anisthita Bhakti is sometimes you feel like doing it, sometimes you don't feel like, sometimes you feel like your karma is better, higher than Bhakti, sometimes your Krishna is important, sometimes it's not, so like that. It's Anisthita Bhakti. Means what I explained, the 6 symptoms, right? So these are Anisthita Bhakti. So till the time we are not pure, like even if we see, like the 3 terms are used, Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttama. So Kanishta are Anisthita Bhakti, Madhyama are Nisthita Bhakti, and Uttama are the pure devotees after Ashakti, Bhava and Prem, right? These are the levels. So to tell you, like exactly from which level we are safe is Ashakti level. But Srila Prabhupada would insist, at least you become Madhyamadhikari. Why? According to Sri Manasitya, written by Raghunath Das Goswami, he is explaining, if we die being a Kanishta devotee, we'll go to heaven, or we'll have a birth in devotee's house. Right? And if we die as a Madhyamadhikari, he says at least Vaikuntha. And if we die being a Shuddha Bhakta, then Goloka. Right? So Prabhupada is saying at least become Madhyamadhikari so that at least you will worship Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayan, if not Krishna. Right? That's a good beginning, good start. Right? So coming to the point that Prabhupada said the safe is. Why? Because when we are Kanishta, the one who is testing us is Mahamaya. Right? At this moment, we try to go close to Krishna, and Maya Devi says, really? You really want to go close to Krishna? Let me give you a test. I still remember one young boy was playing Mridanga, and he was alone, sitting in the temple and then singing for Krishna. I saw his energy. It was like, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It was like, okay, low energy. As soon as one Mataji came and sat beside, he goes like, oh, Hare Krishna, trying to impress. This is our stage. I'm giving the example of man and woman, but then there are so many different types of attractions happening, right? Because it's not pure. It's not purely based on like Krishna. So in the Kanishta level, we are concerned about ourselves, and the test is given by the Mahamaya. In Madhyama, the test is given by Yogamaya. So what is the difference? Mahamaya pulls you away from Krishna. Yogamaya pulls you towards Krishna. You are tested, but then that test is to push you towards Krishna. And after Ashakti, Krishna himself comes to help you. Right? Very interesting, like in Jada this Bharat Maharaja's case, and you can see, devotees, even in the higher stage, they failed. Still, Krishna is there, Krishna is inspiring. And this bhakti is like such a special thing, like other yogas, that bhakti never diminishes. It never gets destroyed. It continues after life after life. In karma yoga, jnana yoga, it doesn't happen like this. Whatever you practice, if you die, finished. 0. For next life, you have to start from 0. But bhakti, it continues. In Bharat Maharaja's case, when in next life he became deer, even in the deer body, he could remember, oh my God, how did I become deer? Oh my God, I was so attached to deer. Next life, I'm not going to talk to anybody. Only Krishna, I'm going to meditate on Krishna. So he was born as a Jadavarat. Right? And then he would never speak to anyone. He knew that if I speak to anyone, I might be attached. So let me not speak. So all the consciousness, the Krishna consciousness traveled through when he was Bharat Maharaj meditating, when he was deer, and when he became like another person, Jadavarat. Right? So the Krishna consciousness, the feeling, the consciousness continued. Right? So this is how Yogamaya and Krishna helps in the latter stage. So the best part is like, Prabhupada says, at least you become Madhyamadhikari. At least. if you want to go ahead. No, as long as we remain Kanishta, very risky. Very risky. Anytime we can fall badly. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, Prabhu.
You speak about, you spoke briefly earlier about like self-realization, realizing that Atma.
You want to use mic?
Okay.
Earlier you mentioned about self-realization, actually realizing that Atma, that we're not this body, but a spiritual soul. And brought up the question in my mind of, can you actually see the Atma? Because sometimes I feel connected to that feeling of, oh, I really am not this body. That I like feel that I'm a spiritual entity, but it's not something that I can see. And in a lot of Srila Prabhupada's purports, he talks about how small and infinitesimal the Atma really is. Is that something we can actually see, or is it what is seen? Does that Atma, can it see itself? Because we are the Atma.
Well, seeing means perceiving, actually. It's not literally seeing with the eyes. I mean, it's like size is like one part of 10,000 part of a tip of a hair, right? So even it's physical, existing physically, I don't think we can see it. Even it comes in front of us. Even we use like most powerful microscope, I don't think there's any possibility to see it. But seeing here means perceiving, right? So perceiving. So Atma is like very small, and then it's subtle, that we perceive it as the identity. So Atma itself is not like a living entity. Atma only carries the identity. For it to act, it requires body, either physical body, subtle body, or spiritual body. Right? There's only one stage of Atma which remains as Atma, that minuteness, only in Brahma Jyoti, the spiritual sky. So in that spiritual sky, Atma has nothing to do. It just floats in that space and remains at that minute thing. And in the story of Gopkumar in Priyad Bhāgavatam, that is the only place where Gopkumar disliked staying. Because there is no activity, there is no God. There is nothing there. So that's the only place where he disliked. But other places, okay, because he had the body, physical, subtle, or spiritual body, so that he can use that body to serve Krishna, to see Krishna, right? So Atma itself is so minute, and then it doesn't have anything. Now the good thing about Krishna consciousness is Krishna consciousness naturally does, by practicing whatever Srila Prabhupada gave us. When we practice that, then we become self-realized naturally. We don't have to do it, endeavor it like separately. I was like I told you, I mean, I have seen Kundalini Jagaran. It's one of the part of Dhyana Yoga, right? One of the powerful thing, and which is very popular in the world today. So I knew it from my childhood because I've seen like so many sages practicing that. So I used to think, I mean, I was not Krishna conscious or a devotee or even like religious person when I was young. And when I was a child. So because I'm an engineer, so by studying science, modern science, I am deprived of, I would not deprived, I'm preached that there is no God. So I was like that. But then I had a feeling, if I had to practice, spirituality or anything, religion, I would do Kundalini Jagaran, mystic yogi, I had that desire. So after coming to Krishna consciousness, I had that desire still there, So I went to Patri Prabhu, who's my mentor that time, and I asked Prabhuji, can I practice Kundalini Jagaran? So that will help me rise my level, This chakras, there are 7 chakras, this Sahasra chakra, then Agya chakra, like that. And says, no, don't practice. If you practice that, then you will be distracted from bhakti. But still the desire was there, So after 1-2 years, again I went back to him and said, Prabhuji, can I at least read the book? Understand the process. I will not practice, Prabhu, I promise, but at least I want to know what exactly this process is in detail. And he said, well, okay, but be careful. I said, Prabhu, I understood the bhakti is like all in all, so I'm not going to practice that, but at least let me. So I found one good book from a good author, Indian author. I started reading that book, about the half of this book, like about this size. So I started reading, and it talks about like how our mind functions, that takes care of the body, mind sitting in the heart controls the Agya Chakra controls the brain controls the 5 senses, body, whole body. It was like fascinating. And then how the chakra, we can raise the chakra by meditation, it goes up. And by practicing Kundalini Jagaran, we can come out from the body and we can travel in astral. We can go in the cosmos and all these kind of things, Wow, I was like, cool, right? And then when I finished the book, the writer would write in the conclusion, the summary, he writes, there are 2 ways we can raise the Kundalini. First is Kundalini Jagaran process, the meditation process, and second is Bhakti Yoga. And he's a karmi. He's not a devotee. The writer is not a devotee. So I said, whoa, Bhakti Yoga automatically rises the Kundalini? Boom, close the book. Forget it. I'm practicing Bhakti and it rises the Kundalini. It raises the Kundalini automatically. Fantastic. So that's why Prabhupada is saying, you don't have to do any extra process. So to understand that we are not this body, we are like Atma, and then most of the devotee, like you said, sometimes you would feel that you're Atma or you're beyond Atma, you're the servant of the Lord. And it's very natural. Kadambakanan Maharaj was giving us class in Mayapur, Bhakti Sastri, when he was talking about nectar of devotion. One thing he mentioned was fantastic. I mean, nobody explained that before. I thought these 9 stages are like sequential, one after another. But then he explained, no, it goes simultaneously. Means like even though we become like a new devotee, sometimes we can feel bhav. There are certain area we can feel bhav. And that little bit of bhav will increase our shraddha. The faith goes up. And faith goes up, it helps like sadhu sang. You want to be with devotee more. Like that, it goes like simultaneously. So then yes, sometimes devotee feel connection with Krishna, even though we are impure. The other time we are doing nonsense, and sometimes we feel connection to Krishna. Yes, it's possible. And that's how we improve, increase, develop, in Krishna consciousness. So that's why we should not look at the negative part of a devotee. Because negative, every fire comes with smoke. Krishna says that. Apichet Sudracharo means like Krishna knew. My devotees are going to do nonsense, stupid things, abominable work. But then he's supposed to consider sadhu. Sadhu. Like that. But most of us, we don't understand. We don't see the bhakti part of a devotee, and then we see the perfection part of a devotee. Siddhi, which is inferior actually. And many times we think that, perfection is more better than bhakti. No, it is not. So like you said, sometimes we can feel Krishna literally. And that happens in the beginning stage. It's the advertising policy of Krishna. In the beginning, he gives us like a real bhakti. And then we go like, whoa, Krishna consciousness is so beautiful. I like it. And then Krishna takes it away because we don't deserve it. Right? And then, okay, you practice. I said, these days I'm not feeling the same thing like in the beginning. That's why Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj says we have to rejoin Krishna consciousness every day so that we can get that little bit of advertising thing from the Krishna. So yes, sometimes we can literally feel that. But the thing is we cannot distinguish, whether it's coming from Krishna or whether it's coming from our heart. We don't know. Okay, so yes.
So there was a point in the lecture where you said that because we are habituated that we cannot stop sense enjoyment or self-enjoyment at all. So with all the chanting and reading that we do, are you saying that there's never going to be a point where we can break this habit, where we can enjoy what we're doing not because of our false self-enjoyment or because of real bhakti?
Yeah. By our endeavor, it's not possible that we are going to end this war of habits and all. We cannot do it by ourselves. Right? There was one time a question was asked to Gaur Govinda Maharaj. Maharaj, when we will be free of sexual desires? He was asked. When we will be free? And his answer was very simple. When you will be fully surrendered to the lotus feet of Krishna, then only the sexual desire will be finished. Not before that. Right? Bhaktitirtha Maharaj, in one of his lectures, he mentioned, I'm not supposed to say this in front of everyone, being a sannyasi, but even sannyasis have sexual desires. And then there was a sound coming from the crowd. So is that true? You have sexual desires? And he said, yes, sannyasis, they have sexual desires, but they know how to control it. But the desire is there. Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada, do you have sexual desire? He says, oh yes. But then Prabhupada, I don't have time for it. I'm so busy serving Krishna. Right? So yes, whenever we are completely surrendered to Krishna, yes, then things happen. Not before that. So it's very natural for us to, be prey of sense enjoyment or like bad habits, even knowing that this is wrong, this is useless, this is temporary. Right? So that's why Prabhupada is saying the most powerful part of bhakti is surrender. Just give up. Surrender means it's very simple. Go in front of Krishna. Krishna, I cannot do it anymore. That's surrender. It's that easy. Krishna, I tried. I tried stopping it. I tried controlling it. But I cannot do it. So I need your help. That's surrender, but we don't do that. Right? We do so many services, we do so many austerities. But then we don't go in front of Krishna and pray. No, Krishna, see, I'm wearing dhoti. The whole world is wearing jeans and then t-shirt and whatever, all different kind of cloth. But I'm wearing dhoti. This is such an austerity. Right? And then Krishna, see, I'm wearing dhoti. Can you please give a little bit of glance? Kripa kataksha, a little bit of mercy. Krishna, I've shaved my head. Beautiful hair. My dad said, why do you shave head? You look ugly, With your hair, you look more beautiful, more handsome. Then we have given up. And putting this funny thing, like shikha, living there, it looks funny sometimes, Many people find it funny. Still, we are doing it. Because Srila Prabhupada wants, because Krishna wants. So Krishna, I've shaved my head. I've given up my hair. Can you please give a little bit of mercy for this? Right? So that's surrender. Surrender comes with prayers. We have to pray every day. One more day in Krishna consciousness, I can go for nonsense. I can do so many nonsense things. But see Krishna, I'm only eating prasadam. Such an austerity. Right? So, by surrendering to Krishna, everything is taken care. But by our own endeavor, I don't think so. No, that's not the part of bhakti. If we try to do by our own endeavor, then it's more like karma and jnana, not bhakti. Bhakti means surrender, surrendering to Guru. Guru, I'm a fool. I'm stupid. Please help me. Uplift me. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.